Here's one. Do you have a ballpark for how much dollars hundreds regs are making? Regs are doing like 30k a year, and that is very fucking low. There definitely is a spectrum, right? I think on average, the guys in 601 have higher win rates than the guys in those publicly available pools. You would expect that, right? Because there's obviously more resources, more coaching, stuff like that available. So it would be kind of like a shame if they weren't. Average yearly is tougher. I mean, I can tell you average hourly is probably like 50, 60, 70 bucks probably at the hundreds. Higher varies a lot. We definitely got a bet flop here. I wasn't really paying attention to that question, sorry. We'll bet turn though, because 2 pairs, good hand. We jam? Do we jam? I don't think he's going to put more chips in if he has a draw. And I think he definitely may not stack off with kings or something. I think I'm going to jam. If he's got us beat, it's just a cooler, right? Right? You got queen jack. There's a lot of really bad rivers. If you bet call queen jack or ace queen. I mean, kings or aces even, maybe. Okay. The other guy had ace queen. The other guy hit. Maybe they both had ace queen. Good fold if so, now. I don't know what to do there, to be honest. It doesn't feel a very bluffy spot, and therefore just try and target the bet calls. But it's also impossible for us to be bluffing, or feel really unlikely for us to be bluffing. Although maybe, no, I'm not sure. Let's say average yearlies have definitely dropped across the spin regs. One of the guys in 601 last month, who plays mix hundreds, 250s, made 23k or EV or something, and Edwards did a really good job, right? But it does show that higher win rates are achievable. That average 30k $100 reg, they might make something similar playing 50s, to be honest. It probably wouldn't affect them too much. I would also question that numbers have diminished, especially the last couple of months. The chip fees have obviously dropped a lot, but maybe the rakebacks improved, etc., etc. So there's going to be a bit of a rebalancing period of the equilibrium, let's say, in terms of the economic state of it. Do you think that at some point people will stop trying to grind? Because there is that, let's say, downward pressure, right? That if it's only possible to make 25k a year or something,
you're broke! You're poor!
A lot of guys are going to be like, nah, I'm not going to play spins anymore. And then actually, weirdly enough, that helps a little bit the game quality. Having said that, still 25k, right? It's still quite good relative to a lot of jobs, and you don't have to have any qualifications and do it anywhere in the world. And so went for a bit of a funny barrel here, which I don't always go for. Hey, and I guess now we've just got to send it. Not having a diamond's great. Do interfere a little bit with 10-9 and 6-7, which is bad. And he definitely has some jackets, which are never folding. Changed my mind. Don't know. It's tough to make beautiful houses in general. You were streaming earlier. I always try and wait till he's finished and then jump in after, not to split what is a massive spin and go viewership Twitch pool. All right. Massa be nice to be in this game, huh? Massa? I said it, Massa be nice. He's not listening to anything I'm saying. He's just jamming over in raises. Good luck with the jack 10. I'm sensing pocket 5s. 2s.
That was a close one.
54%. 44%. We kept it competitive throughout. And he says, yeah, that's what I found weird. 25s regs that are crushing actually are winning more money, and then average 100s regs are way less stress and lots of less bankroll needed, more action. Yeah, I mean, that's true. It's a little market secret. Please don't spread it too wide. But you're absolutely right. It doesn't quite make sense. There are sometimes little inefficiencies, let's say, in the spin and go economic market, that if you can realize some of those inefficiencies, you can find yourself making pretty good hourly in a lot of spots. I don't know much about Massa. We'll just jams. I'm a little out of practice again with my non-anti ranges, so I might be a bit too wide with some of these, but it's a jam of antis for sure. Kings is a good hand. We'll start with a limp. We're now playing a 100 billion million spin. Oh, nice hand for us. 10s is a diamond. Okay, so we know they ISO jam 10s, so they may be under trapping a little bit. I'm actually going to take an ISO ship here, which I wouldn't normally do, but it's an okay hand to take. Based on that read, could be completely wrong. Maybe they're over-trapping. But I would suggest that someone that ISO jams 10s at 7 big blinds is probably slightly missing some limp traps. It also means we can probably limp a little bit. I would expect there not to be that many non-linear ISO bluffs. He says, immediately get non-linear ISO'd. I mean, you shoved 10s here, so what is this range? Interesting. This is King Jack or Ace King or something then, is it? Interesting. Unicorn Loudest, can you explain Rakeback a bit? How many games would you need to be playing to factor that in? Good luck. In a sense, a way to do Rakeback is almost, imagine it as just part of reducing the rake, right? That's fairly obvious. It's Rakeback. But if you play in 5% rake games and you get 50% Rakeback, you can kind of imagine that you're playing in 2.5% rake games and just treat it from that. And in a way, sort of ignore Rakeback. Or you can just sort of calculate all the permutations depending on what's going on. In terms of how many games would you need to be playing to factor in, it depends on the rakeback systems, right? There are different sites with different rakeback systems, but obviously try and factor in rakeback as part of your decision-making process, because sometimes if you're self-rolled, it's a slightly different from being state, because sometimes the rakeback gets like released monthly, for example. So in a couple of sites that you'll have your rakeback given like once a month. And if that's the case, you'll find yourself having a longer downswing, but then actually the rakeback comes at the end of the month and then it's kind of all okay, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm doing a great job. One of the things about rakeback is I think I would encourage guys not to play too much out of their comfort zone to chase rakeback. So lots of guys will be like, there's this new rakeback system and I'm going to, after previously playing, say, 1,000 games a month, they're like, I'm going to do 3K games a month and it's going to be great. I'm going to do 20 hours, 6 hours a day, 8 tabling. It's all going to be perfect. And they inevitably burn out and actually the rakeback wasn't worth it. And so rakeback's a good thing. I would stretch to get it, but I wouldn't snap your ligaments. Your poker ligaments. Does that make any sense at all? I feel like I'm not being very lucid this evening. Shout out Lucid GTO. So what's your opinion on the games off the new rakeback system on PokerStars in terms of games and reg ratio? Any thoughts? They've definitely got regia. You can see that in all the pools. It is still obviously achievable and possible to make money. We had a couple of guys actually have their best ever month. Lots of guys I know have struggled quite a bit. I think a lot of that will depend on approach. So I think you need to find a bit more nuance in the way that you play the games. There are incredible impacts. One of my favorite things to do in the spare time is to load up a reg ratio sheet, show people the impact of the chip V differences in the reg ratios. Everyone underestimates it. Everyone thinks that if you play in a 60% reg field or a 70% red field, it's basically the same. You get the odd fish, happy days, happy recreational day. It's massive. It's massive impact. The guys that make the most amount of money are typically the guys who are most aware of that. There are different ways you can try and, let's say, improve your reg ratio. You can try and battle for lobbies, which is obviously an approach that's taken to be sort of like, I'm going to be king of the hill, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to be dominant, etc., etc. Let's say there are people that will jump around a little bit. Bum hunts is maybe a way we can say it. And there are a couple of, let's say, excellent, proud bum hunters who have been the most profitable spin and go players lifetime. Let's not talk about that too much because then we'll kill their action. So 4x ISO, interesting. Massa be nice to 4x ISO me, and I've got 7 ticks off. David says, hi Tommy, lovely stream. Thanks, David. I've just reading the subtext of your message. You didn't actually say that, but I'm assuming you said that. If I can get a job as an actuary for when I graduate, which is a big if, I would go on 65k after 3 years after tax and deductions, would be 37 a month. Now, financially, I would not recommend quitting your actuary prospects for the possibility of a poker career for financial reasons in the current market. It just doesn't make sense, right? Could you make more money playing poker? Yeah, you definitely could. And you could also make more money playing basketball or playing football, playing anything competitive, right? Being a golfer. Whatever. There are ways to, I think, if you are interested, I would have it more as a passion project, and it functions really well as a side income. Of course, you're going to have some limitations in terms of the hours you can play and the overall study you can do and things like that. But in terms of like the ability to really, compared to I think other stuff, you can actually find yourself having a lot more of a relaxed grind when the money swings are not as important. So if you're fully employed as an actuary and you want to be a part-time spin and go reg, that's pretty perfect. You know what I mean? Make an extra bucks an hour, happy days, and enjoy it. Brilliant. There is some overlap, right, to the poker in terms of figuring out all the odds in terms of the relative disasters, right? I'm not sure. We won. That's good. Let's play again.